I was the guy who discovered that the machines were stealing the votes. And I posted about it on Twitter, and President Trump was retweeting me.
Oh my. So I made up this nonsense. Okay. I just made it up. I just completely made it up. And then the president retweeted me on Twitter. That's why I should be a congressman, because the president retweeted me. You guys know QAnon, yeah? You guys remember QAnon? It's still a thing. People still believe this nonsense. Well, the person that is widely recognized as the QAnon, and when I say the QAnon, I mean literally he is seen as QAnon. The most likely suspect to be the actual QAnon poster, the person who was Q. So actually, when you hear QAnon, you think of a movement. I mean Q. This is Q right here. This is what most people know is most likely Q. He's never officially confirmed it, but all roads point to Ron Watkins being the Q guy, right? He's running for Congress, and he had a debate recently, and this went as you expected. This is 7 seconds. Tell me the vibe you get off of this after 7 seconds.
And I will make sure that your rights are kept. Thank you.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, dude. So much of being a politician is being a public speaker. Thank God the QAnon posts were online forum posts and not like a stream, or not like, I don't know, like anywhere that actually relied on this man's charisma. Because, man, this guy does not have the charisma to create a movement whatsoever, okay? If he pretends to be somebody else on the internet, then he magically has the powers to create a conspiracy theory. Somebody in chat said speech one like in Skyrim. Somebody has to have the rest of the clips of this, right? Because I've seen some of the clips. They are bad. How do you think you are going to win a congressional race like this? Right? Do you think he went into this confident? Like he had all the tools at his disposal to win a debate? Or do you think he went into this like, let's suffer through the debate and win? How can you be a politician if you're not a good public speaker? Look, if you're running for city council, it depends on the size of the city, but you can do it. School board? Maybe. Congress? No, man. I don't know what to call Q besides a loser. And I'm telling you, I'm not the best public speaker. I'm trying to improve it every day. I seem to host a YouTube channel, so enough people seem to listen to me, right? I make this my living. Don't know why, but I certainly am not that, okay? Is this it? This is the original footage. Okay. So remember, this is the Arizona Republican primary debate.
Good evening and welcome to this special Election 2022 edition of Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. We begin now with Ron Watkins.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and thank you, PBS. Thank you, Ted, and thank you, ASU, for this great opportunity. My name is Ron Watkins, and I am not a politician. I am an entrepreneur, and I'm a computer scientist. I have been fighting for your free speech rights in the private sectors over the past many years. We must not send a career politician to DC. We have to send a fighter, and I am your fighter. I am fighting for you. We have major issues going on in our country, and that includes our broken border wall. That includes many people not understanding that abortion is actually murder. People in power who are trying to infringe on your rights. If you send me to DC,
the people infringing on your rights. Anyway, ban abortion. Like, this is Q. This is what all the fuss was about. There was one guy inspired by QAnon who went out and assassinated a mafia boss. Somebody hijacked a bridge. There's like multiple QAnon inspired terror attacks. And this is the guy. People charged into the Capitol on January 6th ready to overthrow the government because of this bozo. All for this dork. I'm sorry.
And I will make sure that we drive them back. And I will make sure that your rights are kept. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And now we turn, dude. Oh my God.
Ron, we'll start with you. You just mentioned that you were not a career politician.
Yes,
you do not want to be a politician, yet you want to represent Arizona in Washington, D.C., in the House of Representatives. Why should Republican voters send someone to Washington who has no political experience?
Well, sir, over the past year or so, when the election was stolen, I was out there fighting tooth and nail to bring this information to the politicians. I brought it to the politicians. I showed them that the votes were stolen, the election was rigged. I showed that to them.
The debate just started and already election was stolen, baseless accusation upon baseless accusation. He could be talking about infrastructure reform. He could be talking about education reform. He could be talking about the military budget. He could talk about Ukraine. He could go back to abortion, like anytime. And boom, immediately it's with the nonsense. Okay.
I was the guy who discovered that the machines were stealing the votes. And I posted about it on Twitter, and President Trump was retweeting me.
Oh my. So I made up this nonsense. Okay. I just made it up. I just completely made it up. And then the president retweeted me on Twitter. That's why I should be a congressman, because the president retweeted me. I'm sorry. I fail to understand. It fails to compute in my head.
And I brought it to politicians, but the politicians didn't do anything with it. They certified the election. They put it to DC. Afterwards, after everything was certified, then the politicians went back and said, oh, whoops, we made a mistake. Well, we can't have that happen again.
They didn't, actually. That didn't happen.
Okay, I'm going to get back to the stolen election idea
Yes, sir.
very quickly here. But you are a politician.
Yes, I am.
He says we don't need a politician back in Washington.
Well, you know, it takes more than just doing a documentary to figure out what to do with the past election. Now, a week after the election, I wrote a letter to the governor, the Secretary of State, and also the...
Look how I'm sorry, like this is a Republican debate, so I disagree with everybody on everything they're about to say, right? I'm a Democrat. Listen to the difference in tone and presentation and the seriousness of his answer. Like, so I wrote a letter to the governor, not I got retweeted on Twitter. Like, everything about this man's presentation seems much more like professional. Like, I feel like I'm no longer in a Zoom call. I feel like now I'm in a business meeting. Discord moderator, actual politician.
Now, a week after the election, I wrote a letter to the governor, the Secretary of State, and also the Attorney General to press for an audit, a forensic audit for the past election.
Oh my
now,
God.
I've heard a lot of this discussion about the election. We need to decertify this election. In the Constitution, it says the 25th Amendment or impeachment. And I'm still waiting for someone to show me where we can decertify this election. Listen.
Okay, so he still believes the nonsense, right? He still believes the nonsense. But at least he's like saying, like, dude, we can't just we can't decert. What are you talking about? At least he's like somewhat tied to reality, but still needs to entertain these folks.
I'm not saying I'm against decertification. What I am saying is...
He tries to interrupt him, but he has so low levels of confidence, he doesn't know how to do it. I've felt that way before, too. I understand how that feels.
This election. Listen, I'm not saying I'm not for or against. I'm not saying I'm against decertification. What I am saying
bulldozed.
is, show me in the Constitution, the United States Constitution, which I protected and defended for the past 21 years, where it says that we can decertify. And I'm not talking about the 10th Amendment, because the 10th Amendment doesn't say it either. Neither does that the certification clause. It only says certification. So if you could find a way, please email me so we can write this piece of legislation.
Hold on just for 1 second. You're going to get your chance, believe me. But Andy, I want to get you in here regarding the idea of a politician going back to Washington. He says not needed. Sounds like a different idea here. What's your idea?
Well, I agree that we need experienced leaders in Washington, D.C., but also leaders that are bringing new insights. You know, I'd like to share a little bit about my background. You know, I've worked overseas for many years. One of my jobs was working with the Iraqi Kurdistan Parliament, where I helped them draft and then I helped them shepherd legislation through the Iraqi Kurdistan Parliament.
Oh my God, he's talking about the KRG. This guy's serious too. Ron is so out of place. Oh my God, he's so out of place. This dude's like, yeah, I have experience with foreign policy and working with specifically the Kurds in Iraq and da-da-da. And like, Ron Watkins is there like, I faked being QAnon on the internet. I inspired terror attacks. I pretended to be someone I wasn't on forums and made a documentary. I got retweeted by the president.
All right, Ron, it sounds like you didn't like what Walt was saying here. Go for it.
Well,
You remember, this guy now had like a minute and a half to like think about what he was going to say, okay? So it better be pointed, good response, you know?
well, you have to understand, Walter, that you were asking me for information on how this could be done when actually you were the one in office who was responsible for doing it. And you didn't, obviously, because we wouldn't be in this mess if you had.
Okay.
Now, what you have to, what you have to understand,
let me
though,
tell
is
you this.
Wait, did he just say we wouldn't be in this mess if you had? So is he saying that if this state representative overturned the election, how? He can't, he has no power.
Americans go and they fight even when they know they can't win.
Okay,
I just
well,
want to be clear. This is the problem. What we have with people who
Basically, Ron Watkins said, even if you can't do it, and then basically kind of semi-admitted that you couldn't really get us out of the mess because you can't decertify, and says, well, even if you can't win, we fight anyway. So just fight losing battles pointlessly. Okay, great.
they don't understand policy. There is nowhere in the United States Constitution that says that we can decertify. Now, I would like to decertify. I really would.
Why?
And I've been on the
Why, you moron? They're both morons. Just Ron Watkins a bigger moron.
front lines to decertify this election. However, I have not been able to find a way. I'm not saying that what your way is not working. I'm just saying if you found a way, since you are talking about we can decertify, why don't you be that citizen and that patriot as you claim to be and step forward and show the rest of us, 60 members, how we decertify. But you can't do that because you know that there is no way to decertify this election.
Ron?
Can I answer that?
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Blackman.
You can call me Walt.
Okay, Representative Blackman. I was
What? He can't eat. Such a. Just, why?
actually on the front lines of trying to figure out what was going on. I helped Mrs. Sidney Powell with the Kraken lawsuit. I helped Mr. Mike Lindell with the Cypress Symposium. We worked.
Oh, dude, the Pillow Man. Dude, hey, I'm legitimate. I helped the Pillow Man with the Cyber Symposium, which was supposed to overturn the election and prove it was stolen, and did absolutely nothing.
My record is clear on what I've done for this past election. The election was stolen. We understand that and we know that. However, I would like for these people that are running around making millions of dollars and making these claims to actually come to the House of Representatives or the Senate and say,
Ooh, he's saying you guys are performative. You guys are just making money off of saying the election's stolen. Actually show us how to take it back then, huh? Because we don't know how to do it. There's no path to do it. How would you guys do it? You guys making all the money off of it. Come do it.
but none of you have come forward because there is no way, and you guys know that, and you haven't been there. We've been in session for 100 days. You guys haven't come up with a decertification. All you have done is say,
And hold
you
on,
can
hold on,
decertify.
Jim,
That's all
hold
you've
on
done.
for a second, Jim. I want Andy to get in on this. I mean, we're getting here quicker than I anticipated. But the idea, and I've heard this repeated now numerous times, the election was stolen. Was this election stolen?
No, I don't believe that it was, Ted. And I think this is a point of,
Based. Baze, of course, the dude who was in Iraqi Kurdistan might have a small dedication to actual democracy. Super based.
Separation between me and many of my compatriots.
Look how low the standard is. I'm calling this guy based, and all he said is, no, the election was not stolen. Joe Biden is president. Just a small acknowledgement of reality is all that's needed for me to be like, wow, based Republican, basically Democrat.
That are running in this election. I do think that our elections can be run better. We need elections that the American people have faith in. There's a lot of reforms, and I think the Arizona State Legislature has been working on a lot of those to tighten up our elections, to make it easy to vote, but nearly impossible to cheat. But to be completely honest and frank with you, I'll say I don't think that the election was stolen.
So, Andy, you think that President Biden was legitimately elected?
Yes.
Okay.
Why do you not think?
He said it like, I got him. This guy has a relationship with reality. We got him now, boys. His chances of winning are done.
Because the courts need evidence. I can't say that you're from Mars and you're reading my mind. I'm going to prosecute you. I mean, there has to be some evidence there. They're not finding it. Why are they not finding it?
Well, evidence was brought to them. They threw it out. And I'm not a judge. I can't pretend to understand why. But the evidence was brought forth both to judges and to state legislatures around the country, and they did not do anything with it.
Walt, you said that you think
Isn't he supposed to be the one that provides the evidence?
the election was stolen?
I do. I think that there was some fraud in the election. So I have neighbors that.
Well, there's fraud in every election. The question is if the fraud is significant enough that we should really, really, really care when it comes to something like decertification. There's fraud in literally every election. There's fraud in elections all around the world in basically every election. Does that mean every time there's a single case of fraud, we need to overturn every election? Then you're never going to be able to hold elections. The question is if the fraud was significant enough to have an impact, which it wasn't.
We have done some great things in the legislative body to make sure that 2022 is secured and to prosecute those that may have been found to commit fraud in 2020.
Andy, this is obviously a Republican vote here, a Republican primary. How do you convince Republican voters that there was no widespread fraud? If the court evidence doesn't do it, how do you do it?
Well, really a big part of my campaign is that my wife and I have been knocking on thousands of doors, and I'm not using that term loosely. I mean literally thousands of doors just this year, and we're talking to good Republican voters, high efficacy Republican voters on their doorsteps by the thousands. And we're having these real conversations, and sometimes they take a couple minutes, sometimes they might take half an hour on their doorstep. You know, this is an issue that gets raised and we talk through it. You know, I'm not claiming to convince.
It's so sad for this. Dude, it's just not your party anymore, man. Like, good luck in this primary, dude, but I'm sorry, dog, man. I don't think it's your party.
You've got to really dig into it with folks and look them in the eye, and that's what I've been doing.
Do you trust the election system in Arizona?
I do trust the election system, though every election system can be better.
There are things that we have done and work across the nation to make this election as safe and secure as we can.
Ron, do you trust the election system as it stands right now in Arizona?
Well, I believe that going into the next election, we're going to need a lot more poll watchers. We're going to need a lot more people making sure that the same shenanigans that happened last time does not happen.
None did.
So no, I do not trust it. And I'm hoping, I'm praying that more people step up to ensure that the next election will be without fraud.
I think the next question would have to be, if you don't trust the system, why are you running?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
I'm running because I'm going to win. And if I win 60-40, then perhaps the election will say that I won 51-49, sir.
Oh my God. He can't find a justification for running if it's rigged against him. So he's just like, we'll win so hard the elites can't deny us and rig it against us in favor of Mr. Blackman. The more they spread this 2020 was stolen lie, the more it undermines people's trust in our elections. And that's harmful for our democracy because you losing and not taking the L is not participation. If you only accept the results when you win, then you don't want democracy. If you only want democracy when you win, then that's not democracy, my guy.
As you are a representative of the state of
So
Arizona,
you're saying you would not investigate the elections?
You do not have the authority to interfere in state elections. You just do not.
You can
and you
investigate
claim
that.
to know the 10th
He's getting
Amendment, and you claim to
rolled.
know the Constitution.
Oh
but
my
you're talking
God.
at a junior varsity level. Listen, this is why we need experience in D.C., because we're going to get folks like this that go up there that don't understand the process of the policy.
He's 100% true. And this just applies basically to, like, I would say across the board usually, that you'll have these people who will try to run on the fact that I don't got experience. I am not a politician. And I'm not saying that if you're saying I'm not a traditional politician means you can't run. But if you say that, that should be a point against you, not a point for you. You need to explain that how you being outside the system it's worthwhile for people to choose you despite your lack of experience. Okay, a lack of experience is not a benefit. It's something that will impact your ability to have an influence. Because let me tell you, your first 2 years in Congress, you know what it's going to be? You just learning the ropes. For this guy, Walter Blackman, he's experienced in the state house and actually being on committee, understanding how making legislation works on the state level. It's going to take less time for him to become accustomed to the environment there. Ron Watkins' response to this is like, I have Twitter, I got retweeted, documentary. And so Walter Blackman is 100% smart as hell to hit this guy on you have no experience, you don't know what you're talking about. So let's say you believe there's a swamp. Somebody just said in chat, I'm not a politician, so I'm guaranteed to clean up the swamp that I don't really even understand. 100%. That's the problem.
The biggest issue for this district is the border wall. The border wall was not completed, and there are actually sections of it that were destroyed. And I went down to those sections and I asked the locals, how did this section of the border wall get destroyed? And they told me that Biden sent the Army Corps of Engineers down there to destroy the border wall. I went down there and I saw with my own eyes, I saw the coyotes sitting right across the border. The coyotes looked me in the eyes and they
Okay, when he says he saw coyotes, he's talking about people who smuggle immigrants across the border. That's their job. That's what coyotes do. So he's not talking about dogs, okay?
The coyotes looked me in the eyes and they ran away. When I was down there, I saw more coyotes.
Excuse me? So you're telling me human traffickers, smugglers, people who they're scared of Ron Watt, what they're scared of the QAnon forum poster. I have never heard a more made up story in my life. I looked MS-13 in the eye, and then afterwards they were MS-0. Like that, no, I'm sorry. That didn't happen.
This border, on our border, is actually bordering all 50 states. If fentanyl is coming through the Arizona border, if children are being trafficked through, that affects everybody in the entire country. And we need to protect our southern border.
Then everyone clapped.
The border is not even in our district. The border is a national issue. And the border, we can't just
There
say
it is.
we want to close the border. We have to have a plan. And I haven't heard a plan from either one of these guys or any of the candidates.
Ron, Social Security, would you protect it? And if so, how?
Okay, so Social Security, it's a very important topic. The people that have paid into Social Security for their entire life need to be protected. We need to protect it for the people that have paid in and they're getting it now. But we also have to understand that for people my age, for men and women of my age and generation and younger, we have to understand that Social Security probably won't be there for us when we're old.
What?
So
wait, so his solution for Social Security is old people now should get Social Security, but if you're young, I just accept that it's gone. Not, here's my financing plan for Social Security, or here's how we save it. It's just give up. You will pay into Social Security and never take a dime. Sucks for you. So why would I want to pay for Social Security? Then what am I paying for right now?
I remember hearing that when I was your age. So we've heard that for quite a while, Andy. But would you protect?
This mod is sowing so much shade. So I think Ron Watkins really just tried to ride the middle ground of, well, I can't lose elderly Republican voters because even they love Social Security. So I'm just going to say they should get it, but screw the young people. Why are we paying into Social Security then? He's not Q, lol. I know Q. He isn't Q. Okay. You know what? You got a good point. Like all those investigators and all those people who are saying all roads point to him, probably not him. I am Q. I'll reveal it today. I am Q. It is actually me.
Should medical care for seniors be privatized? What do you think?
Medicare should be protected, absolutely.
Okay, that's quick. What do you think?
It should be protected. It should go on an open market and should give people a choice, not like Obamacare. We need to
It
have
should be protected and put on the open market. So not protected. What do you mean?
folks that are allowed to pick their provider. And if we put it on the open market, it's going to make premiums drop because it's competitive. That's how we protect it, and that's what.
As we all know, the private healthcare market in the United States is historically cheap because of all the competition.
We need to do moving forward.
Does that sound like a good idea to you, Andy? Military aid to Ukraine. What do you think, Ron?
I support military aid to Ukraine, but I want to say that we would not even be in Ukraine if President Biden did not shut down the Keystone Pipeline on the first day.
There could be no two issues that are less related. This would be like me saying Roe versus Wade wouldn't get overturned if it wasn't for Bernie Sanders running for president. Roe versus Wade wouldn't have got overturned if it wasn't for the institution of Martin Luther King Day. These issues are just completely unrelated.
Because now that that's shut down, we have to get our oil, and we're getting it from Russia, and we're getting all these problems.
We get a very, 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 very small percentage of oil from Russia. I think it's like 2%, very small, right? And that's when like the Germans, for example, they have to move off of 35% of their oil being from Russia. They're down now to 18. And you're telling me 2 to 0 is like the big, no. Okay, that's the first thing. And the second thing is, It just transports it. It's not a bunch of drills. These are not oil drills. All the pipeline did, and this is what pipelines do, is transport oil. Whatever.
Through the Ukraine, and that would not have happened if Biden did not.
So you
shut
see,
down
the
Keystone
Ukraine,
pipeline.
the pipeline
This has to do with like Canada. This doesn't have to do with.
helped prompt Russia to invade Ukraine.
Yes, sir. Because we've got all of this oil coming through from Russia to the United States, and
This pipeline has nothing to do with Russia.
they want the better route to bring the oil through.
Can I
That would have to do with something completely separate pipeline.
this is what I'm talking about. That's not why they went into Ukraine. They went into Ukraine because Ukraine didn't want to be part of NATO.
They went into Ukraine because Ukraine didn't want to be a part of NATO. Okay, he had it immediately. Like he could do this would be so easy to dunk on. Immediately fumbles. I think he just misspoke. I think everybody knows what he means.
Listen, you're trying to work on the national stage and you don't even know why the war started in Ukraine. It had nothing to do with the Keystone Pipeline. The Keystone Pipeline caused the inflation and the increase in our gas prices.
Well, that's also incorrect. God damn it.
The reason why they went into Ukraine is because Russia wanted Ukraine, as they had them pre-World War II, and Ukraine wanted to be part of NATO.
Respond, please.
He's right. I made a mistake.
All right. Walt, what do you think? I mean, should the U.S.
A debate for Congress is not the same as 4chan and 8chan, Mr. Watkins. You can't just post it, be anonymous, and nobody remembers, okay? I've never in my life seen that in a debate. And he conceded so immediately. It wasn't like a second of reflection. He knew immediately he was caught. I mean, the other person was wrong on like the inflation point, but he was so wrong. He knew there was no way out and just threw it. Instead of pivoting, trying to pivot away or turn into an attack so people forgot, he just gave up. He just threw up the white flag. I've never seen that in a debate before. And I host debates literally for a living. And I've seen people eventually admit like, okay, I was wrong. But after like a long struggle, but it was just one hit, immediate tap out. He didn't even contemplate it.
personnel, A and B?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. Has the Biden administration done a pretty good job so far?
The administration has done a pretty good job, yes. By not sending any of our troops to the Ukraine, that's a good thing.
What do you think, Walt?
No. True. Okay. Two. Let's see if the third one agrees.
Personnel, because I've been in that situation, and no, Biden is not doing a good job. Look what he did in Afghanistan.
That has nothing to do. Shut the. Oh my God. You were asked about Ukraine and if he's done a good job on Ukraine, and your response is to pivot to Afghanistan. These two. Okay. So 1 second. I'm gonna help Mr. Blackman here. Okay. Okay. We're gonna go into Okay, you guys know Kahoot, right? Kahoot, I think that's non-copyright, okay? I'm gonna help Mr. Blackman, okay? Because, you know, I've had these issues before too when I was 7. Okay. So, here is a world map. Let's find a good one, okay? This one seems good. I think. No, let's get a better one. Let's get a nice big world map. Okay. Here we go. So over here, right here, it's labeled Afghanistan, the pink country. That's Afghanistan. Now you see over here, that's really the strangest borders I've ever seen for Ukraine. But that green country, the number 7, that is Ukraine. These are actually 2 separate countries separated by thousands of miles. Okay? Now I hope somebody can clip this and send it to Mr. Blackman so he can know this in the future. And that Ukraine policy is quite starkly different from Afghanistan policy. Fantastic. Thank you for coming to class today, everybody.
I want to get back to the election, and actually I want to get to January 6th. Ron, we'll start with you. How would you have reacted
Oh boy.
as a congressman on January 6th?
On January 6th, as a congressman, I would have texted President Trump and told him, please call this off, because it got out of hand pretty quickly.
Do you think he had the power to do that?
He did call it off.
By the way, for anybody who says, like, did he not have the power to do that? He 100% did. Can I tell you, I don't think I've ever said this. When I was on the ground, Trump made a text of some sort on the ground on January 6th. Made a text of some sort of like, hey, everybody go home or something like that. I forget exactly what he said. And I remember a guy turning to the crowd and saying, Trump told us to go home. Everybody, like, basically leave. Like, let's go, everyone. And then, like, a good 40 to 50% of the crowd immediately left. It's like it halved the crowd in like 5 minutes. Like that. It was like instantaneous. It really shows the amount of influence that man had that day over those people. It's insane.
Ron, some people say that a lot of this was stoked by QAnon. What is your relationship with QAnon?
I have no relationship with QAnon.
None at all.
None at all.
You cheeky bastard. Come on. Come on, now would be a banger time to admit it in front of national TV. Come on, buddy. Come on, look at that face. That's the first time he's given a straight face the whole debate. And that's how I know he's lying, is because every other time he just seemed nervous. And this was the one time he was like super serious, like no relationship.
The reports are that your bulletin board sites hosted postings that launched a QAnon conspiracy.
So I ran a free speech website, and I was the administrator. And there were many thousands of people that posted on those sites. Q was just one of those, and I do not know who it was, and I'm not that person. Just like how perhaps
no one even asked if you were the person, Ron.
Trump used to post on Jack's Twitter. That does not mean that Jack was Trump. I was not Q, and I am not.
Well, no, the difference is Q is anonymous. That's where the anon part comes in, and people suspect due to you being the person who has access to, look, I'm not going to get into specifics, but there is a lot of suspicious circumstantial evidence pointing to you being QAnon, Ron. And that's what people are interested in when they ask this question, Ron.
Thank you.
And thank you. And finally, closing statement from Ron Watkins.
Thank you, Ted. And
Hey, it's plus D2. Oh, thank God. So none of these people will probably get to Congress. Okay, never mind. Ooh, well, thank God. Well, but plus D2, gotta be honest, too close for comfort, so who knows?
thank you, PBS, and thank you, ASU. It's been a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and it's very nice to have this kind of discourse.
Oh, can we all, by the way, I'm gonna give Andy Yates the least dog shit award, as somebody brought up in chat for today's debate. Congratulations. You are the person who frustrated me the least.
With the two other candidates in the race. What the people at home need to know is that I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to make sure that your voice is heard in DC. I will make sure that you have access to your representative, and I will make sure that you are going to be happy, and I will make sure that everything that you want to happen will happen, because I will be your...
What does that mean? What kind of promise is that? I promise that I will make everything that... What, dude? I've heard about politicians promising, over-promising before, but this is ridiculous. I promise that everything you want to happen, I'll make happen. Okay, buddy. This is actually the second coming of Jesus. We just didn't know it. It was Ron Watkins, Mr. QAnon himself.
Your representative, and I'm going to represent you. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Thanks to all of our candidates for tonight's debate. Our next debate features Democratic candidates running for Congressional District 1. That's at 5 and 10.
Wonderful. I'd agree with them too much, so we're not going to watch it. I want to look at the comments. I got to look at the comments. Really well done, gentlemen. Would be happy to have any and or all three of you representing our district. But if you look at the bottom, it says Watkins for the people, Arizona. He's a Watkins guy. I so appreciate Ron's hard work investigating and fighting against the fraud of 2020. Man, he nailed the hand gesture on your rights and threw up an awkward air ball On or kept. Good effort. Very telling that Blackman doesn't view 2020 as the most important issue. Yeah, it means that he's very slightly more sensible than Ron Watkins. Oh my God, these people are actually... They're all over the place in this comment section. Ron Watkins, what the fuck? He'll probably win too, Lamau. Why is Ron holding back? He knows January 6th was infiltrated by Antifa and FBI. Code Monkey for Arizona. Jesus Christ. Man, all of them, they really like Ron down here, huh? Even though he literally embarrassed himself. Okay.
And I will make sure that your rights are kept.
Are kept. They are kept indeed, Mr. Ron. They are kept indeed. My goodness. I will say, if Ron Watkins ends up being the nominee, God forbid, it will probably give the Democrats a better chance of winning because it'll just be like, this guy is literally QAnon. Please do not elect QAnon. He is QAnon, which I think will give us maybe one extra point in the election because that's where our country is right now. Oh my God. Jesus. You say that, but Major Taylor Greene is also a thing. Yeah, but Major Taylor Greene has a little bit more charisma than Ron Watkins, okay? I don't know how electable this is.
And I will make sure that your rights are kept. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe I'm being a little too hopeful.